What's going on, guys? It's New York Prepper here. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone's staying warm and preparing for the snowstorms that are coming through the country right now. And I thought this would be a good time to do a video on winter bug-in gear. So, what do you do if the power goes out or if there's an SHTF and you have to bug in and hunker down in your house or your primary residence? So what kind of gear would you need for that? So I'm just going to do a quick discussion of basic essential bug-in gear that you should have regardless of where you live, whether you live in a house, a cabin, an apartment, even if you're a truck driver or you have a mobile home like a RV or something like that and you're on the road a lot. This type of gear takes up very small space, and it will always keep you warm in a wintertime bug out or bug in scenario if the power is out and you have to hunker down. So the first thing that I have here is a Mr. Buddy heater. If you guys see the logo here, Mr. Heater Portable Buddy. And if you guys don't know what this is, it's just a propane heater. It has a ceramic plate in the back here that heats up, and it uses propane, so you can use a propane cylinder like for a barbecue. I have a hose here that you can buy a hose, and you can connect a standard barbecue sized propane cylinder to this. And also I can use a smaller propane cylinder. I forget the exact size, but it fits right in here. It screws in directly, and it fits into this concave cutout. So you can get those small cylinders, or you can hook it up to a big propane tank. And this thing will put out a lot of heat. This will easily heat, one floor of a home, or it'll easily heat a small cabin or a workshop or a small living space. This is the Portable Buddy size. They have different sizes. This is the medium sized one, and it's very simple to use. You just hook it up to a propane tank, and it'll last a pretty long time. With even with the smaller cylinder, it'll last at least 1 or 2 days. And if you get the larger cylinder, like the gasoline, the grill, the grill type barbecue cylinders, it'll last a lot longer. So why would you want to have this? Well, if the power goes out, your heat is not going to work unless you have a wood stove or a generator. Your heat's not going to work. So now, obviously, if you have a wood stove or a fireplace, then you can just use that. But it's still good to have one of these as a backup, just in case something happens with your wood stove. Let's say the pipe gets clogged, or you have difficulty finding dry wood to burn. It's always good to have an instant source of heat that you don't need to get going. Like a wood stove, you have to start it, you got to put the wood in. It takes a good half hour to an hour for it to really start cranking out the heat and warming up your space, your area, versus this is instantaneous heat. You just hook it up to your propane cylinder, and it'll run automatic, instantaneous heat. I forget how much BTU it puts out. Probably says it over here somewhere. But this will give you instant heat, and it's very portable. You can even put this in a vehicle. If, let's say, you're stuck on the side of the road in your car, you can even use this as a heat source, believe it or not, inside your vehicle. Obviously, you don't want to make sure you don't keep it close to any seats or anything combustible. But if you have a van or a pickup truck or something like an SUV, you can easily put that in there, and it'll warm up the car. But if you have to bug in your house, this is a great option because you can get propane pretty much anywhere. Propane is very easy to find. You can scavenge it, you can barter. If we're talking about like an long-term SHTF situation, you can scavenge it somewhere, You know, propane is, everybody has propane. You can find some barbecue grills that people left behind, or you may be able to get access to a propane supplier and scavenge some propane there. Obviously, I'm talking about a long-term SHTF, not, you know, anything short-term where you would be stealing stuff. But yeah, this is a great heat source. You know, and like I said, even if you have a wood stove, you should still have one of these, just in case, you know, it takes a little while for you to get the wood going, the fire going. This will give you instant heat. By the time you get your wood stove, you know, nice and hot, you can have this thing going as well. You know, or if you need to heat other parts of the house that are away from the wood stove, if let's say you have some other parts of the house where other people may be staying or sleeping in, you know, you can use this to heat those areas up. If you want to prevent the pipes from freezing, you could put this near the pipes. And, you know, it'll last a good amount of time with a barbecue-sized propane cylinder. So if you have a few of those laying around, you shouldn't have a problem keeping this thing going for at least a week or more. So this is your quick deploying heat source, is this thing right here. And next we'll move on to something else that's important, which is you need to have a source of lighting. So here I just have this Streamlight lantern, and it has red and regular. Let me see, I have it on SOS mode now. Got to switch to white. So I have it on white. You have a white. This thing's awesome because you can hang it. And it has this glow in the dark button here. So if it's dark and you lost power, you know, you can just find it pretty easily. So, you know, you can hang this somewhere. It's also got this little carabiner clip here too. I'll show you guys the, let's just shut that off. We got the carabiner clip here, so you can clip it. You could even clip it onto molly webbing, but it's got this nice handle. You know, you can hang it. Let's see what else. It's water. It also has one on the bottom as well if you want to hang it upside down. If I want to, whoops. If I want to hang this upside down for whatever reason, you know, if I'm working on a car, I'm working on a generator, I'm trying to get it going, I can hang this upside down so I get it closer to where I'm working. You know, and this is, I believe this is waterproof. Not totally sure. I know you can take this top off. I got to read the directions on this, but it uses a D-cell battery, so you need some kind of lantern. And I like this one too because it has different modes. It has high, medium, low, and then it also has red. So if I want to be a little more stealthy and more incognito, you know, I can be stealthy here in my house. And you know, if there's anybody outside, any kind of marauders or anything, you know, they're not gonna see this as easily. You know, if somebody's observing the neighborhood, let's say you have some bad guys that are walking through the area and they know that the power is out and it's a bad storm, there's a blizzard, and they're looking for, you know, places to rob and stuff like that, or whatever. They may even be just trying to attack you. This lantern with this red light, it doesn't stand out. If somebody's trying to look through my windows, you know, and they're observing my house, this is not going to show up that easily, you know, through blinds, you know, and curtains. Versus if I have it on white light, I mean, this stands out. You know, if somebody's watching my house, they're going to see this lantern and they're going to know that people are there, and they may try to, you know, attack you or, you know, whatever. So this is a little more stealthy. I can also use it to signal. I have a SOS here. And I believe on the low setting, on the red light setting, it has like really crazy battery life, this lantern. It has like, I forget how many hours, but the battery life is crazy. It's like, I think I did a review on this, I can't remember, but battery life is insane. It'll last a long time, like a week or two, just, you know, on this low red mode here. So definitely need some kind of a lantern in an SHTF situation. So, you know, get yourself some kind of lantern. whatever kind you choose, that's up to you. And then, so now we covered the lantern, and you can shut this off now. And now I'll go over some other essential gear. Here I have a military sleep system, the MSS military sleep system. This is just a compression sack. If you don't know what that is, it's just what it does is it compresses the sleeping bag down so you can carry it, easier on your rucksack. But I don't keep it compressed. I usually just throw this in the closet. But this military sleep system is great because it has a Gore-Tex on the outside. It has like three layers to it. It has a Gore-Tex outer part, which is just pure Gore-Tex, and it's camouflaged nicely. And the Gore-Tex is waterproof and breathable, so you can literally lay this thing down on the snow and sleep right on the snow, and you won't get wet. But I have this military sleep system. It has the Gore-Tex, and then it has a lighter bag, and then it has a heavier bag, and they're designed to snap together. So if, let's say, the weather's not super cold, then you can use the Gore-Tex and the light bag, and that'll be good for down to 40s, maybe upper 30s, depending on how you're dressed. They call that the summer bag. And then they have a winter bag, which you could either use by itself, or you can button it together with the light bag. So you have the summer bag and the winter bag, and they're buttoned together, and that makes it much more better for cold weather. So you can use it for extremely cold conditions, outside. But you want to have a good quality sleeping bag for every member of your family. This one I'm going to share with my fiance because it's pretty big. And then I have another one for her. But, have a good quality sleep system or sleeping bags for everybody in your family. Don't go cheap, invest a little bit of money. It's worth it. There's so many good sleeping bags out there that are rated for extreme cold. And I personally recommend this one. If you guys can get yourself one of these, they go for between $100 and $300, depending on what condition you get it in. If you shop around, you might be able to get one that's, lightly used or pretty much brand new and get it at a good price. But you definitely want the three bags, the Gore-Tex, the summer bag, and the winter bag, so you can use them all together for extreme conditions, and gives you that adaptability across, different temperatures. But if the power goes out and you have no power in your house and there's no heating, your oil burner's not working, and let's say you live in an apartment or you don't have a wood stove, you have your buddy heater here, but you need some extra insulation for when you sleep, especially kids and women, elderly people, they're more susceptible to cold weather. So in a worst case scenario, I would give this to my fiance actually, and I would let her use it because I'm pretty tolerant of the cold. So, but this, you can just lay down and sleep in this thing, right next to your heat source, and it'll keep you warm. And then finally, just a wool blanket here. It's a nice thick wool blanket that I have. This is actually Polish military surplus wool blanket. It's very plush. It's very thick. It's not like one of those thin, cheap ones. It's a very thick wool. As you can see, it's very heavy. This blanket's like a couple of pounds. Has a good thickness to it. And, this will be another source of heat that, I could use in addition to my sleeping bag. And then I also have another wool blanket in my car that I keep in my car in case I break down on the side of the road. I have a wool blanket that I can use to keep myself warm. So, keep these things in mind. You don't have to pick the same gear that I have, but I definitely recommend the buddy heater and some kind of lantern, some kind of sleeping bag, and a wool blanket. You can have different, it doesn't have to be wool, but wool is really warm. You can get other types of blankets too, but you can never have too little blankets. You should have multiple blankets, one for each person in your family, one sleeping bag for each person in your family. you know. And then obviously if you have a wood stove, you should keep some firewood. Even if you don't have a wood stove or a fireplace, it's still good to have some dry firewood and to keep it in your residence, just in case, you know, you may have to, if your residence gets cold inside, you may have to go outside and build a fire outside, and it may actually be warmer outside, you know, next to a fire than it is to be inside with no fire, you know, or a very limited heat source. So it's always good to just keep some wood laying around. You know, you can go to your local gas station and get just a couple of campfire totes. You know, it has like probably 5 or 10 pieces of split wood in there. Get a couple of those and just keep them somewhere, just in case. You know, you could even, in a worst case scenario, you may be able to open up your oil burner and use the oil burner as a wood stove, but that would be, you know, like in a absolute worst case scenario. And I definitely don't recommend that unless you know what you're doing, because you could burn your house down and cause carbon monoxide. But you know, you can improvise different things to act as a stove, you know, so you can burn inside. But you know, I'm definitely not going to recommend that to anybody unless they've done that and, you know, I've had experience doing that. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you learned something from this video. I'll see you on the live stream tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming during the winter storm. There's going to be a winter storm Ezekiel coming through my area, supposed to dump a foot of snow. So that'll be, hopefully, you know, I won't lose power, but it'll be like a real life test of my bug in gear. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. God bless.